Hello everyone, my name is Gabriel and this is my colleague Alex. We are here from Lunatone and we are talking about DALI today. Before we start with our presentation, we wanted to thank Luxendi for inviting us to the event and setting this all up. If you have any questions, as it was already said, you can raise your hand. It's preferable that you ask them at the end. And now we start with the presentation about DALI.
So, first of all, we want to talk about the DALI system in general, just some important facts for you all. So DALI is a two-wire digital signal bus, meaning it can be placed together with the 230 volts cables. It supports 16 groups and 16 scenes, and the baud rate is 1200, which is pretty low, but it's consistent. So a DALI bus consists of 3 devices. So first we have the DALI power supply, which provides the bus with the necessary voltage and current, which are 16 volts and 250 milliamps maximum. Then we have the control devices, which will actually send commands and control the operating gears, the control gears, and the operating devices, which are LED drivers, for example.
So in DALI, devices get categorized with device types. Some of the most important ones is the device type 1 for self-containing emergency lights, the device type 4 for phase dimmers of 230 volt lights, then we have the device type 6 for single channel LED drivers, and the device type 8 for multicolor RGBV and CVVV lights. As said, DALI is a fairly simple bus system, can be placed with the 230 volts and has also the same wiring topology. You can set up a DALI bus in a star topology, as a normal line, a tree setup, or as a bus. Things that aren't allowed are fully rings, meshes, and fully connected systems, and this will interfere with the communication.
So let's talk about the DALI bus power supply. So the DALI 2 PS provides the bus with the necessary power, the voltage in milliamps. Depending on the model, it can reach up to 250 milliamps. We have smaller products like our DALI 2 PS 30 milliamps, which are very small devices and can be placed into flush-mounted boxes, for example. So now we go over to the input and control devices. Let me introduce you to our touch panel 03 and 04. Both of these devices are highly flexible control units for any DALI bus. They have a capacitive touch control surface, and they come with a standard layout, so they are pre-configured. So you can just install them and you're ready to go for simple broadcast control. The layouts can be replaced on the site itself. And it is highly flexible, so you can configure and customize it on the site itself. So I want to talk about the touch panel 04 because this has a unique feature, the LED status feature. This has the LED can act as one of 3 options. So first we have the scene indicator. If a specific scene is activated, then the specific light, the LED on top, will show up, will light up. Then we have the bus status indication, the group indicator, which the corresponding LED will light up if the corresponding group is turned on. And last we have the destination address indicator. This is similar to the group indicator, but here you can configure even more. So you can say a specific group and a specific light, and specific lights can be turned on, not just the group. So one of our most advanced features of the touch panel is the palm control feature. This feature, this means you can put your entire palm on the device and it will turn on the light. This is very useful for hotel rooms, for example, where the user wants to quickly turn on the light, but just putting their entire palm on the entire palm on the device. So on the side, you can configure the layouts yourself. You can do even user-defined icons and configure it all to your predefined belongings. Right.
So for most DALI installations, push buttons and normal button couplers are still the main use devices. Here Lunatone has some new devices as the MC1L and MC2 LPS. These devices are quite small and fit in a flush-mounted wall box. These different MCL devices feature 1, 2 or 4 button intakes and can be fully controlled with the DALI cockpit. You can set up single addresses, you can control groups or even broadcasts. These are all also capable of controlling DT8 tunable white devices and RGB devices. You can enable scenes, macros and sequences via the application controller. Each of these devices can function with their own application controller and is multi-master capable. And they also can be used with a BMS system, for example, just via the DALI groups. The MC1 LPS and MC2 LPS feature 50 milliamps and are perfect for small installations. They're quite small, as said, and as you can see, you can put multiple LED drivers, for example, on them. These devices feature also, this family features also more devices, as the MC4L in the DIN rail system and the POTI version. The POTI version is used, for example, for a room as this. You can set up the lighting interface, and with a long button push, you will save it into the LED drivers. Afterwards, you can always recall it with a simple push button coupler. Now we will go over a simple installation with the DALI cockpit. As you can see, there are quite a lot of things you can do. First, you can enable the application controller or use the instance mode. Then you can set up each button and their functions. At first we have the addresses, then you can give them the commands they should send out, and at last you can use the button functions. These range from toggle buttons even to macros, and a nice feature of them is the alternative config. With the alternative config, you can give each button coupler more than one function. You recall it by a scene, and this is very useful when you don't want to install more hardware but want to do multiple things with it. One example is the meeting room. In a meeting room, maybe you have a push button at the end of the room and a wall that divides the room in two. When the wall is closed, each button controls one of the two room sections. After the wall is separated, with the alternative config, you can control all the lights together.
So let's talk about the DALI 2 RTC Plus timer module. So the DALI 2 RTC Plus is a DALI bus powered real-time clock module with an integrated battery backup to ensure timekeeping even during power outages. It supports up to 32 individual entries in the schedule that can trigger events based on the date, like the day of the week, day of the month, or even specific times. There's even the option for reoccurring events. So with scene commands, you can enable or disable these entries. Yes, it even has an integrated astro clock that uses location-based sunrise and sunset times, which periodically update throughout the year. And the time settings can be read out via queries over the DALI instance type 0.
So now we'll come to the DALI displays. First I want to talk about the 4-inch display. These devices are highly configurable touch displays that act as application controllers on the DALI bus. The DALI displays feature a unique UI where you can implement color settings, you can put in your own push buttons, change the backgrounds, and it also has integrated sensors, for example for temperature, for humidity in a room, and afterwards you can switch different modules with it. All of these devices support also the DT8 standard and are ready for RGB and RGBW. You can customize the UI to your belongings and are all multi-master capable. This means you can have multiple of these displays on a DALI bus and they won't interfere with each other. The Display 4 is also available in the Plus version. This allows you to fully configure the DALI bus. You can also add in macros and all the DALI 2 commands. The bigger brother of the Display 4 is the Display 7. It has all the features of the Display 4, but adds a really strong macro engine so that you can put in multiple macros. It also features a real-time clock and an Astro clock, and you can connect to it via Wi-Fi. Both these devices also have a web interface over the API, and you can implement them with your home network, for example, and then configure the DALI bus also from far away. If the one full DALI line on the device isn't enough, you got the option to add a bus extension. The DALI bus extension adds 3 more buses to the DALI system and is fully configurable via the display or the DALI cockpit. With the cockpit, you again connect to it with Wi-Fi, and it's rather simple to install. You just use a Power over Ethernet cable to install it, to connect it to the Display 7. You need extra PS for each line, but it has multiple features like cross-line functions, so each of the sensors you can see or the button switches can control lights on every other DALI line.
Now let's get over to the emergency lighting. So I want to talk about the DALI 2 Display 7-inch emergency. This is a user-friendly interface for managing and monitoring DALI emergency devices. This is the device type 1. With this, you can create and schedule different emergency tests, like the function test, the battery duration test, and the communication tests. The display also includes an interface with an online test log where all the results of the tests are clearly shown. And the latest results of the tests are shown directly on the screen with a straightforward error resolution interface. There's even the option for an email notification system for facility managers to quickly see any test failures or device issues. The DALI 2 EM Guard is a monitoring device. It's a monitoring device for self-contained emergency luminaires. It works with the standards of VDE and OVE, which are important emergency standards in Germany and Austria. It supports up to 64 devices, including emergency luminaires and even escape signs. It has a status LED built in, so you can directly see what is going on the bus. So a long flashing indicates that the bus is in emergency mode, and a short flashing indicates that there is a failure on the bus. There is even a test button on the device, which has a free function based on the press duration. So first, under 5 second press means it starts a function test, and over 5 seconds starts a duration test, and over 15 seconds triggers the DALI addressing. It even has a relay change contact on the bottom of the device, so you can integrate a BMS system, for example. Here you see in the device you can change the intervals between the checks, and you can even check which of the errors should be reported. Also, on the status tab, you see all the number of the devices, of the emergency devices on the bus, and on the bottom you have a list of the devices plus the status. We start with the relay modules. So I want to talk about the IHS and ISHS of the relay module 16. So these are high-performance switching actuators to eliminate losses in standby losses in the DALI system. So it has a standby feature and an integrated timer function, meaning it is designed for staircase applications, for example. It supports up to 16 amperes of continuous current and 20 amperes of maximum output current. And most importantly, it supports 350 amperes max of an inrush current, making them suitable for switching LEDs or high loads with high startup currents. So here you see, you can the timer function is here on the top. You can activate it by one of 4 scenes, and if you use the timer function, then the normal scenes are no longer available for the normal DALI use. On the right, you see here, if you go to scene 0, then it switches immediately to 100%, and you can even set the delay time of, for example, 20 minutes, and then you can change how the relay should act. There's also the standby feature, and you can adjust the behavior for the power up by loss of the bus supply, of course. So the 4-channel ERM is the electronic relay module. It can control up to 230 volts AC loads via DALI. So it has four outputs. So you can connect a device. You can connect any AC load, 230 volt AC load on the output of the device, like you see here. Like for example fans or small motors or something. Right. It uses the VDAP value, or the virtual direct arc power level. So how it works is the device gets a dimming command, and based on the dimming command, it evaluates which channel should be changed, turned on, based on the VDAP value, which is set in the DALI cockpit. I want to compare this device quickly with our 4-channel RC. So the ERM is made for 230 volts mains loads, and the RC, on the other hand, you can use that. This is a similar device, just for low voltage applications, but up to 2 amperes. So
now we'll talk about some of our phase dimmers. As you all know, phase dimmers are mostly used for retrofit LEDs, and we see them quite a lot in installations. Lunatone has different devices in this section. 2 of the most common ones are the PD25 and PD300. These are available in 3 different options: leading edge, trailing edge, and then automatic options which will detect the load and adjust itself to the load. The PD25 is for 25 watt loads, and the PD300 is for up to 300 watts of load. Now we'll talk a bit about the DALI 2 4-channel phase dimmer. This is a more sophisticated device with 4 freely configurable channels. Each of these channels gets its own DALI address, and they can handle up to 10 watts per channel. Giving them 4 addresses, you can set them up with, for example, a DALI switch button coupler, and then dim all of these loads separately. One of the features of these devices is the calibration. Often these retrofit LEDs don't dim from 0 to 100%. They got like 80% range for maybe from 10 to 90% of power. With the calibration, you can calibrate this. You got 255 dim levels in DALI, and now you got a much higher resolution and can do a much more exact dimming with these devices. All of these PDs feature this calibration, and it can be done via the DALI cockpit. Here you can see the cockpit setup, and then you can also use these dimmers, for example, to contrast to a relay module. As they don't make any sound, they can also be used to switch on or off loads, always to their respective watts. So the PD300 can turn on or off up to 300 watt loads without making any noise. Another device in this category is the DALI 3 watt LED constant power supply. This is a CC device with 300, 500 and 700 milliamps output. It gets connected to 230 volt mains and to the DALI bus. Again, you have a dimming range from 0.1 to 100% with this device. It is a DT6 device, so it's a one-channel LED dimmer, and some key features are low standby consumption, highly efficient, and it's more used for smaller installations, for example, not as the PD300. It gets often used with status LEDs or with small LEDs, for example, in bathrooms or in hotel rooms where you have maybe a light stand lamp that doesn't need too much power.
So now let's talk about the Lunatone and DALI sensors. So all of our sensors are have an application controller option and are multi-master functional, meaning they can work together as a group. Yes, we have different lenses for the DALI CS. I want to show you two of them in particular. So first, let's talk about the DALI 2CS -30 or the hybrid versions. This sensor is used for high ceilings for up to 50 meters. It has a field of view of approximately 30 to 12 meters, and it has 188 detection zones. It is also available for the with an IP54 housing, which makes it good for industrial buildings. So here you can see you need about 3 of these sensors to cover the full length of the soccer field. The second sensor I want to talk about is the -C or the corridor version. This sensor should be mounted onto a wall. It has a detection range of up to 5 meters, and it has an asymmetrical alignment of horizontal 150 degrees and vertical of +10 to -25 degrees. Yes, so it is designed for long corridors, for example. Here you see the different use cases of the sensors we have. As previously said, the -30 on the top left is for high ceilings, and the corridor is for wall mounting for elongated spaces. And we have even the -15 in office and the normal CS. So I want to talk also about the multiple sensors in one group. So how this works is if you have a big room where you cannot detect it with one sensor alone, you can use more than one sensor, and they can work together as a group, as one sensor. So how this works is one sensor has to be set as an application controller, and the others as integration. So the integration sensors will only send events to the application sensor, of the application controller sensor, and this sensor will then create the DALI command and send it to the corresponding scene, luminaire, or whatever. So our most advanced sensor is the DALI 2CS THP AQ with an application controller. So the THP AQ combines the temperature, humidity, air pressure and air quality together So you can even control these and perform DALI commands based on the thresholds of these parameters. And it's independent of the motion detection. So yeah, you can use it. You can use the motion and also, for example, the air quality, like shown here. This is a simple example. The sensor is on top, and if the sensor detects an air quality of over 250, then the fan will be switched on because this is very polluted. And if the fan then reduces the air quality or exceeds the air quality, then it will go to 100, for example, and then the sensor will switch this fan off.
Besides these sensors and LED dimmers, we also have different gateways. For example, the IoT and the IoT Node-RED gateway. These devices get implemented via LAN or a Wi-Fi network and have multiple options to control a DALI bus. You can freely program them, for example, with the RESTful API or over the WebSocket with full JSON syntax. Both these devices can control one DALI line, are also multi-master capable, and feature all the normal DALI 2 commands. The Node-RED version also has an integrated Node-RED server, which is a visual program language where you can implement different blocks to program your own logics. The Node-RED also offers you an overview of the DALI bus and can be used, for example, for home automatization. With the API documentation, you get different examples how to integrate these devices into your DALI bus. You can freely add them together to create your own program that fits your needs. There's also the possibility to use a Lunatone cloud to connect to these devices. This way you can control and monitor the DALI bus from far away. The cloud support has to be bought with the device and later on integrated. It gives you full control over the DALI bus, and this is really useful if you had a lot of sites that you have to control but can't travel to each of these. The bigger brother of these devices is the DALI 2 IoT 4 gateway. This device features 4 DALI lines. It has also the full JSON syntax, API WebSocket, and also adds in Node-RED all into one device. It even features a TCP Modbus server for industrial applications. This device can control up to 4 DALI lines. Here also DALI commands can be passed from one line to another, so you have a more flexible bus system. Each of these lines needs its own DALI PS to function. Now we will come to the wireless part of DALI. So for many installations there is no possibility to add cables. Here is where wireless DALI gadgets as the DALI Bluetooth 5 wireless gateway comes in. This device can connect up to 10 DALI sublines to one master. Most of the devices, so all of the black devices are set to slave when a factory set to slave, and the other ones are set to master. One master can control up to 10 slaves, and you can do a full DALI installation over the wireless. They use BT5, and the setup is pretty easy. You connect the master to your main DALI line and connect yourself with the DALI cockpit. Afterwards, you go to a full addressing circle, and then you will see all the slave devices in the gadget tree. There are also other devices for wireless contact. So there is like a LoRa bridge that can be used for up to 500 meters, often used with sporting events or stadiums. There is the Bluetooth 5 group controller. With this device, if it's a simple application, you set the DALI group which it listens to, you broadcast the commands out, and the device will broadcast the commands to its subline with the corresponding group.
So let's talk about the system extensions of DALI. So DALI supports up to 64 devices, which is sometimes clearly not enough. So what can you do? You can use, for example, our DALI 2 expander. So how this works is it connects to the main DALI line, and it has a separate DALI line on the output. So that means you can have 64 devices on the first DALI line and also 64 devices on the second DALI line of the expander. And this is a unique bus, but it can communicate. But the main line can only communicate with the broadcasted line. So the expander broadcasts every command that is sent to him to his own DALI line on the right side. This also has a separate DALI bus power supply, so you can, so these are two separate buses that can communicate from one bus to the other. If you want to have even more buses, you can use the DALI Expander 3. This is the same device, but it has 3 individual buses on the output side. Correct. So there's also the repeater, but this does not increment the DALI devices that you can use, but it lengthens the DALI bus. So the DALI bus can maximally be 300 meters long, but with the DALI repeater between, you can extend it to 300 meters extra. You can only use 3 DALI repeaters in one DALI line. So that means the DALI bus can be up to 1,200 meters long with 3 DALI repeaters.
So this was our presentation. Thanks for your attention. If you have questions, we are happy to answer them now.